The film begins with Pip telling his two chipmunk sons the story of Giselle. She was found and raised as a child by the forest dwellers in Andalasia and had her great adventure when she was sent from the kingdom to New York City, where she met Robert and Morgan Phillip. Giselle and Robert married and had their own daughter, Sophia. Although they believe this was their happy ending, Pip tells his sons that there is a whole other story to follow. Life in the big city has become exhausting for Giselle and Robert, and Morgan has become a snappier teenager than she was when Giselle first met her. Giselle sees the need for change and has them move to the suburb of Monroeville. Despite Morgan's concerns about moving her life away from her old home, Giselle assures her that they can build a new life there. She and Robert fix up Morgan's room, but it catches fire when they flip a faulty light switch. Then the family receives a visit from Malvina Monroe, the snobby president of the town council, and her two lackeys, Rosaline and Ruby. They mention a fairy ball that Malvina is hosting, where her son Tyson is usually named Prince. The next day, the family is visited by Edward and Nancy, who are now king and queen of Andalasia and have created a portal to the Phillips' new home. The two give them an Andalasian wishing wand, which only a true daughter of Andalasia may use. They also leave them a scroll with instructions for safe use. While Morgan is getting ready for school, Giselle expresses to Edward and Nancy that she is not happy with her current life. They are confident that she will know what to do. Robert begins taking the train to work, which quickly depresses him. Meanwhile, Morgan tries to fit in at her new school, but no one talks to her except Tyson, who helps her pick up her books. She vents her frustration to Giselle about settling into her new home. Giselle then notices a flyer for an upcoming event Malvina is organizing, which gives her an idea. Giselle bakes cupcakes and sets up a booth at Malvina's event so she can be chosen as the princess of the winter ball. This only humiliates Morgan, and Malvina orders Giselle to take down the booth because she is not an official member of the town council. At home, Giselle tries to cheer Morgan up by showing her a memory tree she made when she was little. When Robert comes home to help, Morgan snaps and says Giselle is not her mother, but her stepmother, which hurts her feelings. Giselle sings to herself what she wants and is visited by Pip through the portal. Then Giselle gets an idea. She grabs the wand and realizes what she wants. When Giselle wakes up the next morning, she sees that her house is more neatly built and decorated. The other animals are singing, and Morgan is happier. Giselle realizes that her wish has come true. Robert, too, becomes a dashing hero type. The rest of the town also becomes more whimsical, as it is renamed Monrolesia. Malvina is now the evil queen of the town with magical powers, who learns from her magic mirror Edgar that Giselle has more power than she does. Giselle goes off to buy Morgan a new dress to impress Tyson, who is a real prince here. As the clock strikes the hour, something sinister begins to take over in Giselle. She buys all the dresses and cuts up the dress Morgan picked out. Giselle notices her new behavior and takes Pip upstairs to Morgan's room, which is a dusty old attic. Giselle fears that the wish has turned her into a wicked stepmother, as she becomes more vain and cruel by the hour. Pip, too, becomes a fat cat, for wicked stepmothers usually have wicked house cats. Robert tries to be the town hero when he comes across a dragon's lair where people have gathered in fear. Twice he is thrown out, and despite his efforts, the third time he is blown out by fire, which embarrasses Robert. Giselle and Pip consult the magic scroll, which tells them they have until midnight to undo the wish before it becomes final. Complicating matters, the wish uses the magic of Andalasia, which will be completely drained if Giselle cannot undo the wish. Morgan wanders the city and meets Tyson, who seems to have some interest in her, which is mutual. Giselle, looking for a solution to her problem, sees the two of them together in town, and her wicked stepmother instincts kick in, making her jealous of Morgan's newfound attention. She forces Morgan to stay home and do chores and prevents her from going out with Tyson. Malvina sends Rosaline and Ruby to get Giselle's wand from her house. They steal it, but Malvina's attempt to use the wand fails because she is not from Andalasia. Then they find the scroll and try to find a loophole that will allow them to use the magic of the wand. A giant starts trudging through the city, and Robert once again tries to be a hero. He cannot stop the giant, but he does manage to save a little girl from the rubble, and her parents thank Robert. When Morgan realizes that something is wrong with Giselle, she goes after her, and Giselle begins to switch back and forth between her normal and evil personalities. She tells Morgan that she is the one who needs to help now, and pushes Morgan down the well, which sends her to Andalasia to get help from Edward and Nancy. Giselle then gets all evil and challenges Malvina for the position of queen. Morgan wakes up as a cartoon in Andalasia before finding Edward and Nancy. The magic of the kingdom is being sucked into a vortex, and many of the inhabitants are becoming weaker and weaker. Edward and Nancy show Morgan Giselle's memory tree, which has magic that could help her, but it dies from the wish. Morgan's own memories, however, help replenish it. She restores the same memory tree from her childhood and returns to the real world with Nancy, while Edward stays behind to protect the kingdom. The night of the winter ball arrives, and Pip steals the wand back from Rosaline and Ruby. Giselle engages in a magic duel with Malvina in front of the horrified guests. Then, Andalasia breaks into the real world. Morgan joins Nancy and Robert as they try to help Giselle. She overpowers Malvina, and when Morgan tries to show her the memory tree, Giselle tears it apart and calls it trash. The magic of the tree surrounds Giselle and reminds her of who she really is, freeing her from her evil side. Giselle prepares to undo the wish, but Malvina traps Morgan with vines and threatens to kill her unless Giselle gives up the wand. She does, and Malvina steps on him. She waits for the clock to strike midnight to make the wish permanent, but Robert and Tyson go up to stop the clock striking midnight. When Morgan is free, she goes to see Giselle, who is getting weaker as everything and everyone in Andalasia dies. Since Morgan is officially Giselle's daughter, she is also a daughter of Andalasia, so she uses her own magic to wish for everything to go back to normal before Malvina stops Robert and Tyson. Morgan wakes up in her room and goes to Giselle in the kitchen, where she congratulates her for reversing the wish. Everyone affected by the wish thinks they have woken up from a strange dream. Giselle makes an effort to befriend Malvina, and she is invited to join the town council. Morgan starts spending more time with Tyson, and Robert has moved his practice to Monroeville, so he does not have to commute. The family is having a party when they are visited by Edward and Nancy. Giselle enjoys her day with Robert and knows she is truly happy.